Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Nauseating Nostalgia. Tonight, I'm going to be taking a look at John Carpenter's classic Halloween. And to help me get through this synopsis, I have a tall can of Quaker Oats, just like the one you see in the movie. The opening credits to this movie are classic. We see a jack-o'-lantern against a simple black background, while John Carpenter's score is suspensefully and memorably playing. The movie opens with us seeing from a 7-year-old Michael Myers' point of view. His sister and her boyfriend retreat upstairs, and then we see Michael grabbing a knife in the kitchen. His sister's boyfriend leaves after what must have been some extremely quick sex. Michael then enters her bedroom and puts on a clown mask he finds on the floor and stabs her to death. As Michael leaves the house, his parents come home and find him with the bloody knife in his hand. They awkwardly stare at him for a really long time. A really long time. A really awkwardly long time. Afterwards, we see Dr. Loomis trying to convince board members in a festively orange room that Michael needs to be in a maximum security hospital rather than a minimum security hospital. The board members are not convinced, but during this scene we learn that Michael's middle name is Audrey. Dr. Loomis then visits Michael in his hospital room, who stares blankly out a window. The movie fast forwards to about 15 years later. Dr. Loomis and a nurse drive to the mental hospital on a spooky rainy night. They're coming to take Michael away to be in front of a judge. As they approach, they find mental patients roaming the hospital yard. Dr. Loomis leaves to talk on the phone, and while he's on the phone, Michael attacks the nurse and steals their government station wagon. In a quiet suburban neighborhood, we're introduced to Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, walking to school. Her real estate agent father commands her to not forget to leave the key at the Myers house. Tommy, the boy she'll be babysitting later that night, joins her and warns her that the Myers house is haunted. Michael is seen peering back at Laurie as she leaves the porch of the blighted Myers home. Dr. Loomis returns to Michael Myers' abandoned hospital room and finds it ransacked, and then with the word sister scratched on the door. Laurie's literature teacher talks very slow, strangely slow, and Michael is watching her from the street. Tommy's school peers bully him and warn him that the boogeyman is going to get him on Halloween night. One of the bullies runs into Michael, who breathes real hard and follows Tommy slowly in his station wagon. Dr. Loomis finds the body of a dead mechanic in a field with his jumpsuit missing. This must be the jumpsuit that Michael is wearing now. Haddonfield High cheerleaders cheer really lame as Laurie and Linda, played by PJ Souls, walk home from school. Annie joins them. Michael drives down the street glaring at them. Annie yells at Michael to slow down, and he slams on the brakes for a while before driving off. Laurie sees Michael looking at her from behind a bush, but Annie doesn't. From Laurie's first-floor bedroom window, she sees Michael looking at her from the clotheslines. Linda comes to Laurie's home and begs to borrow Laurie's silk blouse. She says a strange man followed her to Laurie's house. While Linda is still there, Annie calls Laurie to beg to borrow her silk blouse too. Laurie's bedroom is upstairs now instead of downstairs. Dr. Loomis goes to the graveyard where Michael's murdered sister is buried. Her tombstone is missing. Annie and Laurie smoke pot in Annie's mom's car while Michael follows them closely behind. Annie drops Laurie off to her babysitting job and drives down the street to her own babysitting job. Michael creepily watches. Annie and Laurie talk on the phone while Michael creeps around the house. Tommy looks out the window and tells Laurie he sees the boogeyman is watching Annie. Annie spills a little bit of butter on her pants and immediately gets naked. Michael kills the family dog. Michael watches Annie do the laundry. Annie leaves the girl she's babysitting with, Laurie, and gets into the car to pick up her boyfriend, Paul. However, Michael kills her before she can even start the car. Tommy looks out the window again and sees Michael carrying Annie's dead body into the house. Linda and Bob show up to the house where Annie's corpse now resides. Bob almost tears Laurie's silk blouse. Laurie carves a pumpkin, and Michael turns Bob into wall decor. Michael becomes a ghost. Linda is Zoftic. Linda calls Laurie while Michael strangles her with the phone cord. Laurie thinks it's a prank. Laurie puts the kids to bed and goes across the street to check on Linda and Bob. Laurie walks by a tall can of Quaker Oats and doesn't notice. Laurie finds Annie, Bob, and Linda all dead in the house. Michael stabs her arm and Linda falls down the stairs, but gets up and tries to open the back door. When the door doesn't open, Laurie realizes one of the glass windows in the door is made of sugar glass. She breaks through it and gets away. Laurie screams for help as she runs through the neighborhood and back to Tommy's house. This is one of the most suspenseful chase scenes I've ever seen in a movie. She thinks she's safe in the house until she realizes the window is open and she hears Michael breathing, but she stabs Michael in the neck with a knitting needle. Dr. Loomis finds the stolen station wagon in the neighborhood and walks about looking for signs of Michael. Michael comes back to life and chases Laurie into a closet. Laurie pokes Michael in the eye with a clothes hanger and then stabs him with the knife he drops. Laurie sends the kids out of the house for help. Dr. Loomis sees the screaming kids and runs to the house. Meanwhile, Michael comes back to life and is trying to strangle Laurie. Laurie pulls Michael's mask off, but his mask is cooler than his real face, so he puts it back on. Dr. Loomis shoots Michael 6 times and Michael falls off the balcony. Dr. Loomis looks for the dead body but realizes it's gone.